Hello everyone, Shawn here with Manly Made Minute and welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a snowflake swap. If you've heard of a card swap, kind of similar, but we're making two cards just by swapping snowflakes. So interested in how? Stick around and we're going to make two cards. All right, welcome back. Let's just jump right into it. We're going to swap snowflakes on an embossing folder that I bought over the holidays, pre-holidays. I think I might even bought this on Black Friday sale, and I just didn't get around to using it. But since it's still winter in most parts of the country, I thought we're just going to make a winter card, not a holiday card out of this. It's pretty universal to use kind of throughout the season. So that's what we're going to do. But before we get to the down camera, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like me on and follow me on Instagram at Manly Made Minute. Would be greatly appreciated. Would love to have you part of the family here on my YouTube channel and just follow my journey of sharing my ideas and some kind of fun stuff and just follow along. So let's head on down to the down camera and let's get started. So today I'm going to use this embossing folder. This is the, it comes with two cutting dies and it's two snowflakes. So it's got these two snowflakes on this die, this one and this one, and it is called Refined Snowflakes, all right? It is a 3D embossing folder, so quite thick, so you're just gonna have to set your cutting tool to that setting. And we're gonna make two cards. So I'm gonna emboss this twice, and then we're going to color one, do one white, and swap those two snowflakes, all right? But here's the deal with this embossing folder. I ran kind of a test run through, and I did kind of a smaller card base, not smaller, but like smaller than 5.5 by 4.25. The die cut, and I'm gonna put this behind, can't see that. Let's see if I can just set some black behind there. So you can see these dots come out pretty close to the edge of this design on both of these snowflakes. So if you start going smaller, you're not going to be able to die cut both of those out, which is what I wanted to do. So I've gone to 5.25 by 4 for my white card base, but what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to shift this over to which side of the snowflake I want, because I'm not going to be able to cut both out because it'll run off the edge. Those dots will run off the edge, and that dot is included in this die cut. You can see these out here, okay? So I'm going to swap the larger one, and I'm just going to shift it to the left of my embossing folder to make sure I catch that whole one and shift it over far enough that my die cut's not going to run off the edge of my paper and split my paper in two, okay? So let's just emboss these. And we're going to just shift over. I'm going all the way to the top of my design and all the way to the left edge of my design on my embossing folder. All right, and I'm using Nina 110-pound cardstock. And we're just going to run this through the die cut two times to do this, all right? And I have a Sizzix Big Shot, and I'll just set this in view here. And so I've got to, and I don't think I can put that top plate on, if I remember right. Nope. So I will go, I set it on top, and lifted these two panels, and then I set it on top so it doesn't fold up and squish this up when it comes through. It'll keep this nice and flat for me. So I have to go all the way to that bottom setting. I usually will run it through once or twice, because I've got to run this, I want a good emboss on it, which this folder does give you a great emboss. You can see a good emboss on there, right? But when I cut this out, it's going to run through. I may have to run it through again because it will squish it out some once you do that. Now, another trick you can do is you can just run your die cuts through and cut them out, then set them on the embossing folder over the top, right? So I could just cut this out again, set it on top, but we're going to cut this out, all right? Because I just want to show you how to do that, and then rerun it through to get that emboss back on there. All right, let's just run this through a second time because we're going to color one and leave one white and simple. And I'm moving again all the way to the edge, left edge, so I can grab that large snowflake on there. Just like so. We'll give it a good couple times through so I get a good emboss on there. All right, and yes, a nice, really nice impression, okay? Now, what we're going to do is I'm just gonna, while I've got my big shot out, I'm just gonna cut the big snowflake out on the white one and get that done. So when you place this, it'll, like I'm just gonna move it off. Like it'll, once you find it, you'll feel it kind of just, there it went. It just kind of pops in place where it kind of doesn't wiggle anymore, right? So I'm gonna put this down. I'm gonna run this one through and re-emboss it before we color my other piece. Just a little piece of washi tape that I've used over and over so it's not super tacky but just holds it down just enough. And I did wiggle here, so I just want to make sure I'm still in spot. I'm going to grab just another little piece just to hold that. That bottom little edge is wiggling on me. So I'm just going to lightly tack that piece down so it stays in place. Now I won't run this through a couple of times because I don't need to squish that embossing down any more than I really need to. It will make a nice impression and a nice cut one pass through. So I'm just going to lightly lift my tape up like so, very gently, because one of these pieces was kind of newer and I've squished it down, so it could tear, mush into that paper just a little bit more. All right, and lift this piece up nice and gentle. Don't be in a rush because you just don't want to tear this, right? All right, now this did not come out, so what I'm going to do, now I could take the snowflake out and run these two through separate. That would work, okay? But since this didn't pop out, I'm going to grab my embossing folder and I'm going to put this in place, and you'll feel it the same way. I knew I went all the way to the edge, so once it finds its spot, there it went. It just kind of popped right in place. And I'm going to gently, so I don't move anything because I don't want a double impression here. That is perfect. That stayed right in spot for me. And you could do this two ways. You could do it this way or take them out and run them in through separate, but it works nice to pop it back in like this and just run it through again. And I'm going to do the same thing because I want that good impression on there, just like so. If it didn't shift, I shouldn't have like a double emboss, and that looks fantastic. All right, let's get started on. I'm gonna get a little reset up here, and we'll get started on my blue. All right, I am set up not to do my blue one, so I've ran both pieces of my white through. Got a good now emboss on this one. We're not going to cut it until I get everything sprayed up. The other one is sitting over here way to the side so I don't get it dirty, but I ran both of these through now twice to re-emboss that after it flattened it out after I die cut that, right? So we're going to set that aside. Now I'm going for just a nice, soft, wintry, kind of fluffy kind of feel. So I'm using Distress Oxide sprays. I'm going to use Peacock Feathers, Shaded Lilac, and Spun Sugar, and then I'm going to just do a light spritz of some Tattered Rose. This just gives you just a nice, the spritz, nice champagne-y kind of feel over this. I know Amy R. from Prairie Paper and Ink does this a ton, and she's got me addicted. So thank you, Amy R., for making me get addicted to the Tattered Rose Distress Spritz after I purchased it in a pack. I was like, I got to try this like Amy R., and now she's got me addicted. So there you have it. Now I'm just going to lightly mist this. I am using Neenah Index 110-pound cardstock, not watercolor. So I do want this lightly misted, but don't soak it because it's not watercolor, so that I do get some movement from my sprays. And I'm going to start light to dark. I'm actually going to give this pretty hefty pink on the bottom because it's going to cover up anyway. But I still want that kind of peeking through. And then just get my little Peacock Feathers in there. And I want a little movement out of this. Ooh, that looks That looks nice. Let me just give it just a little there, and I'm going to get my little purple in there. Just I need a little extra purple on there. There we go. Get a little movement, and I like that actually. So let's just dry that. Now we're going to want this good and dry before we run this through the embossing folder. So I'm going to dry this prior to running this through the embossing folder, and I'll get that set up. Okay, good and dry. One last little layer. Now we're going to add a little tattered rose. Just a tiny bit. I don't want a ton. Just enough to give me some shimmer, and if it splatters or sprays, I don't care. I just want a little shimmer off of this. I tend to be heavy-handed, so I'm trying not to go so heavy-handed so I get some splatter off of it, which tends to be a problem for me, so I usually have to do this. Just a little bit in that corner here. Just trying to get it kind of some evenness to it. There we go. That's it. Okay. Done there. Let's dry this, and then we'll be back before I die cut this. Okay, splatter's dry. Oxide sprays are dry. It's really good and dry. Now I'm going to line up my die cut again, and then we're going to do the exact same thing as I did with that white one. Once that kind of pops in place for me, we're just going to lightly tack this down to keep both ends in place so they don't shift. And we're going to run this through my die cut, then realign both of these pieces in that embossing folder. Oh, I knew that was going to shift on me. You could feel it. Realign it in that embossing folder and die cut it again. And I'm just getting those to kind of all these little. Make sure you line up the dots. It's easy not to line up the dots on the end and not get those little, I don't know what you want to call them, wings, legs of the snowflake. So I'm just kind of lifting to make sure I've got a decent alignment on those before tacking that down. I'm not going to keep my thumb on it. I think my thumb is what's screwing me up there. All right, let's just run that through. I'm not running this through twice. I don't need to squish that down any more than it already does because it squishes it down quite a bit. So now I ran everything through on the last one. Now we're going to run it through separate on this one so you can kind of see both ways. Now I'm going to be completely transparent and honest. This way doesn't work the greatest to run them all through. It actually works out better. You can do it that way. It works to run them through separate. It just works a little bit better because it's a little easier to line up and run them through. So now I'm going to line this up on this embossing folder. Oh, that popped in place right away, I think. Yeah, that looks like I'm checking those legs because those dots will get off kilter just a little bit from each other. And this looks like I got it on that I felt it pop in there. And you'll feel it kind of like divot in there, right? Okay, so I'm going to just tack this down very lightly. I'm just going to get a little bit of the edge so I don't have a lot of tape to lift up. Just in case this is still damp, I don't want that to lift up anymore. Okay, clamped in there. Run this through like you did. So you got to make sure that you're set on your embossing folder setting. And then run that through. I will run this through now again, same as I did before, a couple times to get a good impression on that. That looks fantastic. I have no double embossing whatsoever. That lined up perfect. And I'll bring this up close for you. Just let me get the tape off here. Real gentle. My tape today has seemed to be a little tackier than normal. It doesn't normally stick really good, but this one is today. Must be a little extra tack on here. So I just want to peel that off before I show you up close and personal here. Just a little piece stuck right inside that little divot of the snowflake there. So I'll just peel that little piece up. There we go. All right, so you can see great impression on that, okay? Now, same thing now with my panel. Now you can see the cutout. Make sure you're going embossing side up too when you re-grab your folder. You can see the snowflake, so that'll help you line this up better. I start in the corner, make sure that corner's popped in there. That corner seems to have popped, so I think I'm good. Yeah, I think I'm good because I felt both corners pop. Just going to tack the corners down a little, opposite corners to hold this down. And I look at my die cut right around my snowflake. That looks good, and it's not. I think I've got it good. Okay, and then same thing. Run that through. Get that impression really good again. I know it feels annoying to me to have to run this through because then it's like, well, then I got to die cut that out, and then I got to rerun it again. It is what it is. Honestly, it's just what it is. You know, if somebody else has a better way to do this than I've learned, please share. Just because it does, it feels annoying to me to have to run it through this many times, but I feel like it's the process to get this effect and technique. But if somebody else has a better way, by all means. Now, there is a better way, I know. Just cut out a snowflake separate, do it on top, and not cut this out. I get that, totally get that. And I could have done that, and none would have been the wiser, right? But I just wanted to play, and I wanted to try it this way because I've seen people do it this way and then have to re-emboss. So I thought, let's just do it that way, right? Okay, now I have this, and I have my white, and I have this, okay? But what I want to do one more thing. I want to give this snowflake, I'm not going to do anything with this. This is going to stay plain Jane white, okay? I want to give this a little sparkle. I forgot. I did this on the white one, but the die cut cuts out these little cuts, which just adds that little detail to these, which I like. Okay, so make sure you knock those out. This is done. I want to add a little shimmer. I recently purchased this, this glitter pen by Zig. It's Wink of Stella, brush number 2. I've been wanting a glitter brush for quite some time. I saw great reviews on this one. I've already taken the lid off, the little ring, punctured it, squeezed it like you're supposed to till it comes out, so it should be good and ready to go. Now I gotta just see if I gotta re-squeeze to get this to flow out. There it is. I just see a little bit coming off that tip. All right, now I'm just gonna brush. It's goldish kind of shimmer, so silverish gold, so it does kind of match that tattered rose. I like this. I haven't used it. I just primed it. I haven't used it yet, so it's easy, and it just gives that little bit of extra on there. Do I have to do this? No, because the point of this was to keep them, I was looking for opposites, but it's still that winter shimmer, glimmer, glam, you know, glammy snowflake. So I thought, I'm going to add a little bit to this. Not sure how quickly this dries. I've never used it, so let's just give this a little shot. That's it. We're going to assemble. Now, I will tell you, I pre-did my sentiment off camera, just to save, you know, we all can do a sentiment, right? So I'm using the Alex Siberia Christmas sentiments, but I'm just using Choose Joy every day because I felt that would be not necessarily totally Christmas and it could be used anytime. So it's a little banner sentiment. So here is my banner sentiment. Okay. I cut out a little banner in black and we're just going to offset that behind it. So I'll do that here on camera just to show you the offset. I could do a color behind this to make the color pop through this, but you're not going to see it too much. I'm going to pop it up on dimensionals, but we're just going to go simple black because I want this to pop. I do want this just to pop off of a simple black matte layer. All right, we're done there. Now, I thought I had pre-cut my 2 black. Let's see here. I have one. I think this is the right size. Let me just check. It should be the right size. That one looks like it is the right size to me. And I don't know if it was this one that I cut for something else. Nope, it is not. Oh, it's right here. Ha ha ha. I didn't see that. Okay. Let's just offset this just slightly. And I'm only doing it to get it to pop off here. And I probably need one more, but let's just do this one and I'll make another one off camera and come back with it. So make sure that we've got these going the same way. Okay, so I'm just making sure that I've got these going the same way. And I'm going to do just a little piece of glue right here at the top side of this, because that's where it's going to offset from. Okay, and now I'm just going to add this like so, and do as much offset as you want. That is complete preference on how much you want to create this kind of shadow layer is all you're doing, right? Easy peasy. And both out of scraps. I did not waste a whole sheet of paper for that. I got scraps, right? But you can see nice little offset on there. And I did this side and this side. Okay, let's assemble these cards. Okay, let me just clean this space before we assemble. Okay, clean surface so that we don't smudge anything and ruin anything, which is I am very notorious for that. So what I wanted to do one last thing before this, and I want to show you one kind of fun little thing you can do to the inside of the card. I don't use my white pigment ink enough, hardly ever, so I thought it would be fun just to scrape over the top edge of this to get this design just to pop. And it's popping. Don't get me wrong, it's popping, but just to add a little flair to this. So I'm just going to run a little, I'm just not putting hardly any pressure whatsoever on this, and I'm just going to give this a little bit of white on the top. Not a whole lot, just enough to give me something. Okay, and we're going to do this on the whole panel piece and then on my snowflake. And the snowflake's pretty light, so this isn't going to pop a whole ton, but it's just giving me a little something. And it's just making that design pop out just a tiny, tiny bit extra. This would look great in silver. Actually, would look great in gold because of my tattered rose splattered through here. But I wanted this to stay soft, but I just thought, let's just add a little something on there. So that's all I did. Now again, I should have did this before I cleaned my work surface, but this was an afterthought. Okay, something fun to do on the insides. I try my best to carry my designs through to the inside by like stamping like I could stamp a snowflake on this on the inside, but I thought these cards are all about embossing, right? So look how fun it is just to take and emboss with that same embossing folder a little piece on the inside. So I did a diagonal corner on here. And then I'll do my front. That's it. I'm not going to do anything else. Hard to write over, so don't take up too much space so that there's still room to write, right? Let me show you what I did. It's just crazy easy. Okay? So I'm going to do a straight line on this one. I did diagonal on this one in that corner, right? Now on this one, I'm just going to go straight across. Okay? So let me grab my other card base right here. Now, nothing inside yet. I'm going to go straight across. So all you do, I still have to do my setup here for an embossing folder. I'm going to lay this as much as I want to emboss on the bottom. So I'm coming in from the bottom of my embossing folder about inch and a half roughly, making sure it's roughly as straight as possible and the even amounts going across like so. Clamp that in, and now it's just going to emboss what's inside here, right? So, I shifted it. So I'm just going to turn this. I'm going to come down a little bit. That actually was quite a bit. Okay. Put this down and clamp this over. Try not to shift my paper again, which I did. I'm going to tape that. My hands are just having a hard time getting in there and keeping everything clamped. Okay, so I'm just going to go about an inch, like so. Tape that, hold it. Oh, God darn it. Today, I am just not working well with clamping stuff in here today. Okay, let's just get that in there started. There we go. Now, it's just going to emboss what's inside that folder, which is that bottom edge of the card. I'm doing the same as I did last time, couple times through. Okay. And I feel like this is like a super fun way to do this and not have to stamp. It's almost, it reminds me of those like, you know when you go to the notary and they notarize and do that embosser? That's what it reminds me of. It's kind of just that old school embosser to throw this on the inside. So let's just get my tape off here and then show you the final result, and then we'll just assemble these. So super easy. Once you're set up for doing this kind of technique, you could literally like emboss a whole bunch, then ink blend a whole bunch, re-emboss. Like this is a great one you could do in masses, but do it in steps, so it'll help you, right? So look at the inside of this one. Nice little. I think that's just a fun little way to add something on the inside. Okay, let's assemble and take a look at our final cards here. I'm going to put this layer down, just gluing this down, and then I'll put the snowflake up on dimensional so it pops up these alternate, you know, these swapped out snowflakes pop out on the opposite panel. Okay. Make sure we got a good alignment. I just did about a 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch or so all the way around. I wanted just a little bit of black to make these colors pop. That was it. Okay. Put it on your card base and then we'll pop up those snowflakes. Doesn't matter which one you go on, which one is a emboss, right? It's all the same embossing, so not matching up the embossing necessarily. But if you emboss different folders with different cards, then you'd want to match that up. Make that tack a little bit. Do the same thing on this one. And get those edges around that snowflake good so you don't have any lifting on these tiny little cutout edges. When you tack this down, so nothing catches, especially when you're putting it in the envelope and stuff, you know. Just like so. Beauteous, beauteous, beauteous. Tack this one down on the card. And yes, I am embossed. I'm going to glue this over my background logo, or my back of my card logo, because after I embossed it on the wrong side, so I just re-stamped on that side in the corner. So I know I'm covering that, so I always stamp all my cards with my little logo and handmade by, and put where they can find you. People love to get the little handmade stuff and then find you. All right, now we're just going to pop these up on dimensionals and get these to pop from, oh, and I think, yes, I knew that was probably going to have to be the case. The way these snowflakes are is we'll cut these ones in half. I just like the depth of these. So cut these in half. I'm going to put one on each flake of the snowflake. I think these are so easy and so adorable. This is a great, great embossing folder. Great quality too. This is from Simon Says Stamp, and so it's a 3D embossing folder. It is those thicker embossing folders, right? So just know that when you're getting it. I think most of us have stuff we can cut with, but some may not. Okay, and we'll do this one. And what I like about these is the simplicity of this, especially when you're doing cards like this. I mean, I tried, if anybody's watched me and, any of my other stuff, I sometimes might go overboard. I try to add too much, or I want to do every technique in every card, and it sometimes gets restricting for me. I feel restricted sometimes to keep things simple like this. And that's just my own thing, honestly. But it is, as I do it, it is fun. It is fun just to do something simple and make it easy and still play. And then this one to me, I liked it when I bought it online, obviously, but then when it came, then I was like, okay, now what am I going to do with this? And I just thought, simple. Like there's so much texture on this embossing folder that I was like, it's got to be simple. But then it's paired with die cuts, so I want to use the die cuts with it because, you know, I love when I can pair my stuff with die cuts, right? We all do, especially sentiments and stuff. But, okay, so this is the white snowflake, which is going to go on the blue. And you just kind of line up where it was cut out. Oh, that's cool. I like that. I like that. I like that. Then I'll throw this one simple sentiment on here, probably in the corner. Sometimes I like to overlay it on the snowflakes, and I would have had I cut out both. But this one ran off the edge, so I knew I wasn't going to be able to do that, and I did pre-test. I just wanted to see how that die cut lined up and stuff before we made a card out of it here for on camera. But and so I'm glad I did, because I found out that, you know, I have to go a bigger card front to get them both in there, and I was like, I don't want to do that. I wanted the black on the background. So, okay, add this one. Plus that black match, it gives it a nice shadow too, you know. Perfect. Let's give those some dimensionals too. So I'll have these. Both things on my card will have dimensionals. So we'll have that dimension. Okay, so we'll just pop some strips on here. On both of these. All right. Simple, simple, simple. All right, let's just see where we want placement on this. Yeah, and I do think it's going to have to be just like so. Like too much in one spot, and I don't like the space there. So we are going to go kind of below corner-ish, offset center. Like so. I'm just going to hold that up to see if yeah, I like that. Good and straight. All right, let's just get this one on there. And we got ourselves 2 cards. Without all the talking, without all the filming, I could have knocked these out in no time. Especially have everything pre-cut, pre-ready, then you feel like you're knocking them out faster. Just get everything ready. And I like to pre-prep everything, because then I feel like I'm being more productive. Make sure we've got that one nice and straight. Got to kind of give good pressure and tack on this because of that, all that texture to get it, you know, to hold on. All right, you guys, there you go. Look at that. 2 great cards alone. I think that looks fantastic. Could I have just raised this one and called it a day and left all the same color? You bet I could. But I just thought it'd be fun to swap and get some texture and get some different colors. Got some shimmer on, it's hard to pick up, on that snowflake from my new glitter pen. White pigment ink lightly over that just to get my texture to pop just a tiny bit more. Any color, silver, gold, you could have brushed over that. And then this one, nice plain with that little, that tattered rose shimmer on the snowflake. So I'm going to show these on my face cam because this one shows just color and things just a little bit more. We'll get that out of the way. So get that to focus. There we go. So there's the texture's there, right? Great little simple card. Still a winter card. Send somebody a little, like, you know, be happy, choose some joy today, you're doing awesome kind of card for winter, especially those ones that get the winter blues, right? So there we have it. And then together. Let's just show these little guys here together. Get these to turn the right way. Which one am I turning? There we go. There you have it. 2 great snowflake cards. This is using the Refined Snowflakes Cutting Die and Embossing Folder from Simon Says Stamp. I do believe it's still on their website for sale. Awesome product, awesome stamp, awesome dies. They cut in one swipe, no problem. So they definitely did their job. So thank you so much for hanging with me. Hopefully this gave you some inspiration just to do some simple cards and maybe get some winter positivity and joy spread through the winter until we hit into everything else. But my next goal is we got to start some Valentine's. So thanks for hanging with me, and until next time, I'll see you then.